Our first speaker, again, is Lino Manchin. In every person's life, there comes a time when they should reflect on where they've been, where they are, and where they want to go. Through this exercise, some people gain a deeper understanding of what makes their life better. Life lessons. Lino's going to share his lessons tonight with us, the lessons that he has learned, in hopes that he can help us make better lives. Help me welcome Lino Manchin. Things I've learned, Lino Manchin.
Good evening, Master Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Hope you're all doing well. Give you a little backstory. I moved down here 3 years ago, and I first walked into this place 3 years ago. When I decided to move down here, I was talking to my father and telling him, you know, I'm going to move down there, you know, go to GE in Auburn, and it's a startup company. There's opportunity to grow, opportunity for me to advance. Our daughter just had our first granddaughter, our only granddaughter right now, and she was living in Phoenix City at the time, so it was like everything just seemed like it was meant to be. So my father, being the always prepared guy, he's like, well, don't sell your house, rent it. That way, if something happens, you can come back. I seen that as an avenue for escape. And if you ever heard the term or the phrase, if you want to take over the island, burn the boats. So I burned the boats. I moved down here, didn't know anybody but my daughter, new environment, new culture, but I always had my father, and I could call him. Unfortunately, he passed away that year. So at the end of 2014, or 2015 actually, I found myself in a precarious position that I didn't have a support circle around me. And I didn't know it at that point, but I fell into a depression. Now, it's not the depression that keeps you in bed. It's not the depression that, you know, keeps you from going to work or anything like that, but it was a pretty deep funk. And it took me about 6 months before I realized that's what it was. And when I realized it, I was thinking, okay, how do I get out of this? And a lot of the things that I felt were hindrances, were negatives, like I didn't have my support circle. I didn't know anybody. All of a sudden it clicked. All those aren't negatives, they're positives. Because all the things that I wanted to do before that I felt I was being held back from, because my buddy Reese calls me, hey, let's go ride on the motorcycle, right? Or my sister's like, hey, I need help moving. Or my father's like, hey, I want to come over and, you know, just talk, whatever. I always put my friends and family first. But now I had an opportunity to put myself first. I could do anything I wanted. I could be anybody I wanted. I didn't have to be the Lino that I was in 2012. It was the end of 2015 going into 2016. I could be Superman if that's what I wanted to do. And it was very liberating. But through that process, I've learned, I'll share with you 10 things that get me through my everydays. Okay, number one, live with a purpose. Zig Ziglar says, don't become a wandering generality, be a meaningful specific. If you have a purpose, you got a reason to get up. If you have a purpose, you have a reason to leave the house. If you have a purpose, you can actually evaluate whether or not you are achieving your goals. You can measure yourself. Understand that if you do not have a purpose, there's no way to tell whether you're doing good or doing bad. And everybody was put on this earth to do good. So number one, have a purpose. Number two, I'm sorry. People are going to treat you the way you allow them to. We all have expectations. But people will only meet your expectations two ways. You define and communicate, and you don't settle for less. If somebody's disrespecting you in a respectful way, let them know that that's not tolerable. And you'll find that the people that aren't meant to be in your life will magically disappear. You'll end up surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you get to your purpose. Not everybody is meant to stay in your life. People come and people go. It's like the seasons. There's a season for everything. Everybody is brought into your life for a reason, and that is to help you learn a lesson. Every event that you have, every situation that you're in, is there to help you learn a lesson. And sometimes you'll realize that it's the same lesson over and over and over again. And I guarantee you it's going to continue to happen until you learn that lesson. So don't settle for less. Sometimes when you're going through that process, you'll find that your circle gets so small, it's just me, myself, and I. But remember, there's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is defined as basically not being happy with yourself. Solitude is rejoicing yourself. You have to love yourself. And it goes back to people are going to treat you the way you want to be treated. You have to remember, you got to love yourself. You got to treat yourself with respect before you can teach anybody else how to do the same. There are no mistakes in life. Everything you go through is meant to teach you a lesson. It's your job to figure out what that lesson is, learn it, get that experience, and apply it the next time you come to a similar situation. So, if something bad happens or if something doesn't meet your blueprint, don't dwell on the negative. Try to figure out what's the lesson. Pivot and change. Your world will not change unless you change. I can't control John. I can't control Sandra. I can't control Don. But I can control how I react to anything and any interaction that I have with anybody. Focus on the inside. Changing takes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it's being able to take that first step in spite of fear. As Toastmasters, when you come here, I'm pretty sure that most everybody is here because in some way, shape, or form, speaking in public makes you nervous. There's a fear. Getting up here and speaking, that's the first step, because that fear isn't gone. But it's your first step to controlling it. And that's what courage is. Trust the process. A lot of times we go through things and we're like, oh, it's not working. And I'll give you a perfect personal example. As I said, when I came down here, I'm like, it's a startup company. There's all sorts of opportunity for advancement. There's going to be roles, and I'm just going to shoot up the ladder. 3 years later, I'm still a third shift team coach. But I know that if I continue to learn the lessons, that every situation that I'm in is teaching me, at some point I will achieve my goal. as long as I stick to my purpose. You gotta trust that the process is gonna work. Be generous. Help somebody out. Generosity is being able to do something for somebody without the expectation of anything in return. The best way that you're going to lift yourself up is to help lift somebody else up. Because the higher you help them go, the higher you actually go to. You never know when a nice word, kind gesture, a smile, a thank you will change somebody's day. Because somebody might be somewhere in this process and they're questioning their purpose, they're questioning their goals, and they're questioning their process. And you might be the one that actually gives them that catalyst. And the last one, don't take yourself serious. It's just life. Nobody's getting out of here alive anyways. Those are my 10 things.